Have you ever felt like life is happening to you, like you're being pushed, pulled, and tossed around by forces you can't quite name? One moment, everything feels under control. The next, a single word, a glance, a setback sends your mind spiraling. Most people drift through this storm unaware, reacting more than living, trapped in emotions, swayed by opinions, paralyzed by fear of what might happen next. But then there are the few. They walk through fire with calm eyes. They lose battles, but never themselves. To the outside world, it looks like they command reality itself. What makes them different? Not privilege, not genius, but a simple, radical idea. Act as if you control everything, not because you do, but because your response shapes everything that matters. This isn't about pretending. It's about mastering the only true domain you ever had, your mind. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we'll explore how to reclaim that power. Not with empty affirmations, but with clarity, discipline, and unshakable resolve. If something in you knows there must be more than just reacting to life, you're in the right place. Take a breath. Feel the stillness beneath the chaos. And when you're ready, walk with me. This is Stoic Lens. Let's begin. Number 1, the illusion of control. Most people live trapped in a lie so subtle they mistake it for truth. They believe they're in control of their day, their mood, even their destiny. But in reality, they are ruled, not by kings or systems, but by their own unexamined impulses, shifting emotions, and the noisy approval of others. They don't lead their lives, they react to them. They get upset when plans fail, complain when others disappoint, and wait for perfect conditions to act. But the Stoics saw through this illusion. Control, they said, was never about bending the world to your will. It was about mastering your will within the world. As Epictetus wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Look at Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, supreme commander of a vast empire. And yet, in his private meditations, he reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Even surrounded by war, betrayal, and plague, Marcus didn't chase control of outcomes. He pursued control of himself, his thoughts, his actions, his dignity. This is the Stoic idea of control, not ownership of what happens, but ownership of how you show up to what happens. In today's terms, we call it emotional intelligence, self-regulation, or mindset. The Stoics simply called it virtue. To live well, you must first stop waiting for the world to align. Stop hoping for ease or fairness. The Stoic doesn't wait to feel confident. They act with courage. They don't wait for clarity. They choose reason over impulse. Imagine a captain at sea. Storms come, waves rise. The weather is not his to command, but the wheel, the sails, the course, that is his realm. So he stands firm, eyes forward, hands steady. That's the Stoic way. The weak let the tide of external chaos define their reality. The strong, those shaped by Stoic fire, act as if they control everything, not to delude themselves, but to stay grounded in the one truth they can command, their own reasoned choices. So, ask yourself, are you waiting for life to give you permission, or are you willing to claim responsibility for your inner citadel? If you're ready to step out of illusion and into true power, comment below, "I take control. I decide my fate." Now, let's go deeper. Number 2, the Stoic truth about control. The world teaches us to chase control, to manage outcomes, change people, fix the past. But the Stoics taught a deeper, simpler truth. Control begins and ends within. Epictetus said it clearly: some things are up to us, and some things are not. It sounds obvious, but most people live as if everything is theirs to command. Other people's opinions, the weather, the twists of fate. And so they suffer, exhausting themselves on the impossible. But here's the Stoic shift. Stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Focus instead on the only domain that truly belongs to you: your judgments, your actions, your character. Because when you rule yourself, you've already ruled the most difficult kingdom. Think of Seneca, exiled from Rome, stripped of status and power. Yet he remained composed, even productive, writing some of his most powerful works during exile. Why? Because he understood. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. He didn't control the emperor's will, but he controlled his own response, and in that he was freer than the one who banished him. This is the paradox of Stoicism. The more you release your grip on what you can't control, the more powerful you become. Not in the eyes of fate, but in the eyes of people. Because strength of character draws respect. Composure inspires confidence. When you carry yourself with calm certainty, the world begins to reflect that back to you. It's not manipulation, it's perception. And perception, the Stoics remind us, is the front line of the inner life. What you see is shaped by how you see. Picture a soldier standing guard in the dead of night. He cannot control when the enemy comes or whether the storm breaks, but he controls his breath, his stance, his readiness. And because of that, he is never fully at the mercy of the unknown. When you act as if you are in control, not arrogantly but inwardly, you trigger something powerful. People begin to trust your leadership. Chaos seems to bend around your calm. Opportunities appear, not because reality changed, but because you did. And here lies a deeper, hidden truth, one that even the ancient Stoics hinted at. When you embody mastery, others project mastery onto you. It's a quiet force, a form of psychological influence born not from ego, but from inner alignment. So ask yourself, not what can I fix out there, but what can I command in here? That's where the Stoic strength begins. And now, let's uncover the deeper layer, the hidden mechanism that makes this mindset not just wise, but powerfully magnetic. Number 3. The hidden power of perception. Here's a truth the Stoics understood long before modern psychology gave it a name. Perception shapes reality, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Control may be an illusion, but the one who acts in control, who walks with calm presence, speaks with clarity, and remains steady in chaos, becomes the one others naturally follow. Why? Because most people are searching for signals of certainty, and when they find it, they gravitate toward it. They assume, often without realizing, that confidence means competence, that calm means control. Epictetus once said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them." And judgment, how you frame what's happening, radiates outward. When you master your perception, others begin to perceive you differently. That's the silent power behind those who lead without force. Think about Marcus Aurelius. Despite governing a crumbling empire facing betrayal, war, and plague, he never appeared rattled. In his meditations he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's not just Stoic resilience, it's influence in motion. Now let's ground this in the modern world. Picture someone walking into a room, not loud or arrogant, but composed, self-assured. They speak when need are, act without hesitation, and never chase approval. You assume they know something others don't. You assume they lead. This is what psychologists now call the power of certainty. But to a Stoic, it's something deeper, the strength of a trained mind. A person who has ceased to be a slave to impressions, who has fortified their inner citadel, naturally commands attention, because they are no longer reacting, but choosing. Even manipulators and high-status individuals use this. They move with purpose, not because they control the world, but because they've mastered their stance within it. And that changes how the world reflects back to them. Here's the Stoic twist. You don't need to fake it. You become it by mastering your perceptions, your impulses, your judgments. The moment you stop chasing validation, stop flinching at every emotion or setback, you flip the script. You are no longer being controlled. You become the one in control, and people feel it. They respond to it. So ask yourself, how are you showing up? Do you project the chaos of your inner world, or the calm of your disciplined mind? If you're ready to stop being a passenger in your own life, comment below. I command my reality. Nothing controls me. Because before you can master the world, you must first master your mind. And that's where we're headed next. Number 4. Commanding your mind. All strength begins in the mind. Not in muscles, not in circumstances, but in how you choose to perceive, to think, and to respond. The Stoics knew that the mind is both battlefield and weapon. Win the battle within, and no force outside can break you. Lose it, and even a quiet day becomes unbearable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Modern science calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself through thought and habit. But the Stoics didn't need brain scans to understand this. They lived it. They practiced it. If you tell yourself you are weak, your mind will serve you proof. If you tell yourself you are steady, in command, unshaken, your mind, like a loyal soldier, will begin to follow that order. But here's the catch. Most people live as prisoners of their own minds. They don't use thoughts. They obey them. They spiral in anxiety, overanalyze every detail, lash out in anger, and retreat at the first sign of resistance. Epictetus warned against this trap. No man is free who is not master of himself. So how do you regain control? You begin each day with intention. You remind yourself, I govern my thoughts. I decide how I react. I focus only on what serves my reason. This isn't self-help fluff. It's ancient discipline. You don't wait for the mind to quiet down. You train it. Like a warrior sharpens a blade, you shape your thoughts through repetition, awareness, and virtue. And when you command your mind, you stop being a victim of moods, people, or fate. You become your own fortress. But as powerful as the mind is, there's one force even harder to master. And for most people, it's the very thing keeping them weak. Let's talk about that next. Number 5. Power over emotions. If you cannot rule your emotions will rule you. And if anyone can provoke you, insult you, or shake you with mere words, then you're not free. You're controlled. Most people live like this. They flare up at insults, worry endlessly about things that haven't happened, and let their mood be shaped by other people's tone or timing. But the Stoics knew the man who masters himself is the only one truly powerful. Seneca put it plainly, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." In other words, emotional discomfort is not the enemy. It's the training ground. Every trigger is a test. Think of Marcus Aurelius, betrayed, surrounded by war, faced with death and disease. Yet he wrote, "You shouldn't give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they don't care." True strength isn't loud. It's not found in shouting back or demanding respect. It's the quiet calm of someone who refuses to be shaken. Imagine someone tries to insult you and you don't even blink. Imagine chaos around you and you remain the eye of the storm. That's power. So how do you get there? First, pause. The moment emotion rises, anger, fear, offense, don't speak, don't act, just breathe. The Stoics trained themselves to delay response, knowing that reaction is weakness, but reason is strength. Second, detach. This emotion, it's just a ripple in your mind, not a command. Picture your feelings like clouds drifting by. You are not the cloud, you are the sky. Third, reframe. Ask, will this matter tomorrow, in a year? How would a Stoic respond right now? Step back. View yourself from above, as Marcus did, watching his life as if from the stars. Fourth, use silence. Let others fill the space with emotion. You don't need to match their chaos. Your stillness will unsettle them more than anger ever could. Finally, train like a warrior. Every time you resist the urge to react, you sharpen your blade. This is not suppression, it's command. The weak react, the powerful choose. And here's the Stoic truth. When you master your emotions, you master your fate. Comment below, I control my mind, I control my emotions. Because now we move into something even more potent, influence without effort. Number 6, influencing others without trying. There's an unspoken truth about influence that the Stoics understood long before modern psychology gave it a name. Perception is power. The person who appears to be in control, calm, steady, unaffected, becomes the one others follow. Not because they dominate, but because they don't need to. Marcus Aurelius never raised his voice to prove his authority. Seneca never begged for recognition. And Epictetus, born a slave, became a teacher of emperors, not by chasing status, but by commanding himself. A man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. Epictetus. This is the principle of perceived control. The way you carry yourself, how you speak, how you move, how you handle silence, signals your internal state. And others respond not to your words, but to your presence. When you walk into a room with calm intention, people take notice. If you carry yourself with tension, neediness, or haste, others sense weakness. But if you move with quiet certainty, they instinctively defer to you. This is what psychologists call authority bias. To the Stoic, it's the natural result of inner mastery. Here's how to live it. Move slowly, speak deliberately. The wise never rush, because they know time bends to discipline. Let your posture reflect your inner strength, shoulders back, eyes steady, breath calm. Talk less, observe more. The one who listens holds the power. In silence, others reveal themselves. You, anchored in reason, simply watch. If provoked, do not react. Epictetus taught, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Remain still. Let their emotional outburst collapse under its own weight. Power is not in words, it's in what you choose not to say. And above all, hold the frame. In any interaction, there is always a dominant perspective, the frame that defines how reality is interpreted. The Stoic doesn't seize the frame through force, but through composure. When others chase approval, you pause. When others seek validation, you hold still. You become the gravity in the room. because in the end, you don't need to impress anyone. When you walk with inner command, they come to you, not because you asked, but because you didn't. Comment below. I move with certainty. I control the frame. And now, let's explore the final test. How to face chaos like a true Stoic. Number 7. The Stoic secret to handling chaos. Chaos doesn't break a man, it reveals him. Most people, when faced with uncertainty, collapse inward. They panic, lash out, blame the world, or freeze in fear. But the one who remains still, the one who breathes, observes, and acts with reason, that person becomes the center of gravity when everything else spins out of control. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't deny that life is unpredictable. They embraced it. Because what happens around you is never fully within your control, but what happens within you always is. Marcus Aurelius led Rome through wars, famine, plague, and betrayal. He never wrote about how unfair life was. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, when life throws obstacles, the Stoic does not ask, "Why me?" but "What now?" Seneca echoed this mindset. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Chaos, then, is not your enemy. It is your sharpening stone. The Stoic does not run from pressure. They are forged by it. When the world shakes, you ask, what is mine to control? What is the most rational move, not the most emotional one? How can I turn this challenge into fuel? This clarity is rare, and it makes you stand out. Because when others lose their center, they instinctively seek the person who has not. Be that person, and power flows to you without effort. But don't wait for chaos to test you. Prepare now. Every morning remind yourself, I am not shaken. I respond, I don't react. I command myself in all conditions. This is the Stoic's armor, not indifference but disciplined calm. Act as if you control everything, not because you can change the world, but because you can master how you face it. When you do, you become the anchor in every storm. If you're ready to carry that strength, comment below. I stay calm. I control chaos. Now, let's put everything we've learned into action. Number 8. The test. Understanding Stoic wisdom is one thing. Living it, that's where the transformation happens. Most people hear powerful ideas, nod in agreement, and then return to their default mode, reacting emotionally, chasing validation, letting life dictate their thoughts and actions. But that's not your path, not anymore. From this moment forward, you step into the test. For the next 24 hours, act as if you control everything, not because you control the external world, but because you command your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. That is your kingdom. Here's what this looks like in action. Move with purpose. Slow your pace. Speak with calm authority. Don't rush. Don't fidget. Your presence should say, I am centered. I decide the pace. Control your emotions. If someone insults you, smile slightly and say nothing. If chaos erupts, breathe deeply and pause. That silence is power. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Hold your frame. If someone challenges your decision, don't over-explain. Just say, this is what we're doing, Alito. Tonso leave it at that. Leaders don't justify, they decide. Embrace discomfort. If something feels uncomfortable today, lean into it. Seneca taught that discomfort is where real growth lives. Train your mind to move toward adversity, not away from it. Stay calm in chaos. When things go wrong, and they will, pause. Don't flinch. Ask yourself, what's the wisest move right now? Then act with logic, not impulse. At first, it may feel like an act, but your mind learns through repetition. What you practice, you become. And when you carry yourself with quiet certainty, others respond to that energy. They respect it. They follow it. This isn't about pretending. It's about conditioning. You are rewriting your internal script, one deliberate action at a time. Most will never take this test. But if you do, you'll begin to feel the shift, not just in how you act, but in how the world reacts to you. So, if you're serious about becoming unshakable, comment below, "I take control. I decide my fate." Now, let's bring everything together. Number 9. The final step. Own your power. If you've come this far, you've already set yourself apart. But knowledge alone changes nothing. Only action does. Most people will hear this message, feel a moment of inspiration, then go right back to their old patterns, chasing approval, reacting emotionally, surrendering to circumstance. But the Stoic path is not for the many. It's for the few who dare to live it. From this moment forward, you have a choice. You can train your mind like a warrior. You can move as if you control everything until your reality begins to reflect it. Because what you practice, you become. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You may ask, but what if I don't feel in control yet? That's irrelevant. Stoicism isn't about feeling strong. It's about choosing strength again and again until it becomes your nature. This is not pretending. This is transformation. The most powerful people in history weren't born with unshakable control. They trained it. They acted as if they commanded their world until their mind caught up. Now it's your turn. For the next 7 days, take the challenge. 1. Program your mind each morning. Wake up and repeat, I control my mind. I control my emotions. I control my destiny. Speak it, feel it, anchor it. 2. Move like a leader. Walk with purpose. Speak with calm authority. Don't rush. Don't justify. In every moment, ask, what would a Stoic do? Then do it. 3. Rule your emotions. Pause before reacting. Let others lose their composure. You stay still. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." 4. Observe the shift. People will treat you differently. They'll sense your inner clarity. They'll follow your lead. Because power, true power, is felt, not flaunted. 5. Take one bold action each day. Make a decision without asking for permission. Say no without apology. Hold eye contact. Speak last. Lead. This is the beginning of your transformation. Not someday, now. If you choose to walk this path, even for a day, you'll begin to notice the difference. Not in the noise around you, but in the silence within. You'll stop chasing control in the outside world and start embodying it from within. People will sense it. They'll respond to your stillness, your clarity, your quiet confidence. Not because you're pretending, but because you've taken ownership of your mind. This isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up with intention, every moment, every step. And, with time, what starts as practice becomes who you are. So if this message speaks to something deeper in you, comment below, "In control." Let that be your anchor. If you found value here, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, only if you're ready for more. Because this journey doesn't end, it sharpens, deepens, evolves. Until next time, walk with calm, act with purpose, and remember, your power begins the moment you stop giving it away.